Now that's what I'm talking about. That's content. Welcome back to the series where I give my thoughts on the most recent episode or 2 or 3 of Higurashi Sotsu. Today we're covering episodes 8, 9, and 10. I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't have a whole lot to say about the former 2 episodes, which is why I didn't make a video on them, as well as the fact that it wouldn't have been nearly as positive as I was starting to be a little bit drained. Ultimately, I was waiting for the ball to drop, and oh boy, it did. But before we get to that, let's talk about some things. I'm not the first to say this, but I would be lying if I said I wasn't getting a little tired of repeated content. Entire scenes just play out exactly the same way they were in Go. I get that they wanted to remind us what was happening and where we are in the timeline, but we literally had a calendar motif for that, and they don't need to show as much as they do. Heck, even just showing things from a different angle or perspective would be much appreciated. I will say this arc has been better about making it interesting than previous arcs. Cutting between the club's distress and Satoko rolling in the dirt, giving Oishi's inner monologue, first time in the series by the way, it actually surprised me, and keeping it brief. It's just that after so many It's just that after so many episodes, it gets tiring. So it seems Ryukishi did in fact lie about Oishi going L5 naturally. Oh well. At least watching him is immensely entertaining. We see glimpses of Satoko's reactions towards Teppei's kindness, so it seems she has been hesitating to use him as a piece due to not knowing how to feel about him. Ultimately, she wants to disregard his redemption for the sake of her mission, but it was becoming difficult. So, I think she saw Oishi as an opportunity to shirk that question for a while, opting to use the syringe on him because she has little attachment to him as a person, and his outburst would bring a significant shock to Rika, inducing further despair. Out of all the arcs so far, I particularly enjoy seeing this one from another perspective, since unlike the others it wasn't obvious. As I stated before, I really enjoy seeing L5 Oishi and how his motives affect his behavior. For clarification for those unaware, the dam construction manager who died on the first tree of Oyashiro-sama's curse was a close friend and role model for him, as well as a mahjong bro. Oishi will be retiring shortly in 1983, so he wants revenge by solving the curse before he does so. He plans to use Teppei, the most likely target of the next curse murder as someone hated by the village, to catch the culprit in the act. The way he sets this up by framing Teppei for various crude acts and having control of the case transferred over to him is very interesting and a delight to watch. It's also notable that he sees Keiichi as an unwitting pawn for the village's interests, a new kid fooled into perpetuating their narrative. Ironically, it is Oishi himself who is a pawn for the curse. Okay, but seriously, what the hell happened to the Onigari no Ryo? The actual sword was missing when Rika finds it, which is in the next loop. Did Sadako actually know about it or not? Is the third looper theory true? Probably not, but anything is possible at this point. Kumagai smoking? My headcanon is that he noticed something was up with his buddy Oishi and wanted to humor him today. Otherwise, I don't think my conscience can bear it. Now let's address the elephant in the room, the inter-Sadako discord. This is probably the most Umineko scene we've had yet, and it demonstrates the bounds of the meta world to an extent not yet explored in Higurashi. For those unaware, the meta world is a location taking place outside the realm of the fragments wherein the metaphorical takes form. The Sea of Fragments, aka Myriad Worlds, is but one place known to exist in the meta world. Well, it might seem like a place legitimately in the bounds of the story, in the Higurashi VN it is actually very explicitly meta as Burn Castle, because Witch Personality, speaks to the reader directly and even requests their assistance in piecing together the final fragment of Matsuri Bayashi. So in this world, Sadako's opposing wills manifest as two separate entities, much like Rika and Burn Castle, and fight for dominance. We've been seeing cracks in Sadako's conscience, as Teppei does his best for her, the final straw ultimately being when he declares he is undeserving of the happiness he has attained due to his past abuse, which pierces into Sadako's heart as something in her realizes that she is undergoing the exact same cycle. The quote-unquote good Satoko we see in the Sea of Fragments seems to have a mutual understanding of their goal and plan to get there, so she is not the piece who belongs in the fragment, but instead a manifestation of a conflicting emotion. We see that Ella is not as impartial as she presents, as she clearly favors the witch persona and allows her to win the struggle. I have a feeling though that the other Satoko is in con for good, as she seems to re-emerge to demonstrate her regret when performing Watanagashi on Rika. So that last scene, where do I even begin? It mimics the scene of Keiichi killing Teppei almost one-to-one, which we know is no longer possible since Teppei is already dead by the time he got there. This means that their scuffle is entirely fabricated, but the question is by whom? It certainly seems to be reminiscent of Umineko, where certain scenes are not the real truth, but an argument as to the truth. And that could definitely be the case, as the Umineko connections go stronger and stronger within Higurashi. However, there are other possibilities. Maybe Keiichi walked into the room and was hit in the head by something, possibly Oishi with a bat or a trap laid by Satoko, and the events that follow are his hazy memory of what happened, as we see in Tatari Damashi, his head hurts trying to recount them. Or maybe Satoko hallucinated Teppei's return, as well as the bloodstain she had originally inflicted as a result of not taking her medication for Hinamizawa syndrome. There are many possibilities at this point, and I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts. Truthfully, there is a lot more I could say about these episodes, but we're already going on a bit long here, and I want to get this video out. In terms of the general topics that I had hoped to cover, maybe those will be spread out across the next few episodes. Well, thank you guys for watching. I go by Tasty Nachos, and you go by.